Alright, I'm just going to be quick about this because I've been trying to record this 2 times already, and due to some technical difficulties I ended up having to scratch everything. It was very frustrating, but you see, I'm trying to get this out there as soon as possible because I really don't have the time to do a proper video about it. So I'm just going to go over really quickly about what I liked about the Season 5 premiere of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I like the idea that they changed the formula that we were used to with other openers, as in it was not just the main six, but specifically focused main character Twilight Sparkle learning some variation of the same lesson of friendship, and them fighting some world-ending type of ancient evil crisis. It was them, already fully taught about friendship, with their journey basically over in that regard, by the end of Season 4, now going into the world to teach friendship to others. That is great. And their first villain is not some ancient demon, it's just a unicorn with a talent for stripping cutie marks to other, and basically putting herself above everyone else, while at the same time preaching these ponies about equality and nobody being superior to the other. Basically, she's the quintessential hypocrite. She's a politician, basically. And she's a great villain. A villain that doesn't submit to friendship and never learns an actual lesson. In fact, she's quite of a no-nonsense kind of villain. She even says to Princess Twilight to shut up because she doesn't want to hear her monologuing about what real friendship is supposed to be. So by the end of it, she just gets away. But what's more interesting about this episode is the fact that it wasn't the main six, or indeed Twilight Sparkle going solo, that saved the day. It was the ponies they came to help. The villagers of this totalitarian regime, they were all inhabiting. That's the interesting part that everybody is going to point out mostly, because it's simultaneously the strongest and weakest aspect of this two-parter. The strongest because, like I said, it's a big exclamation point on the overarching theme here. That is, the main six teaching friendship to others, thus standing up for themselves. If they were just to save the day for everyone else, this lesson wouldn't stick. Instead, they become paragon of friendship, or how you should act when you're a friend to someone, and thus the new ponies learn this lesson and thus proceed to save the day with their own strength. Once the truth about their so-called equal leader was revealed. And that's interesting, but at the same time, we don't know much about these ponies to begin with. So the fact that they saved the day instead of our beloved known main characters, it's a bit weird, but like I said, it's still a nice job from the writer's part, and I like what they were going with this. Now, overall this was a great episode. These are my really two quick 2 bits about it. And I don't really have the time to do a proper video, so, because tomorrow is Easter, by the time I'm recording this, it's night, I saw the episode an hour ago, I really don't have the time to put up something more complex, and I needed to get this out there as quick as I could, because in the next 2 days I wouldn't be able to actually make new videos, for obvious reasons. So this is the reason for this quickness, so to speak. But, like I said, I like this episode. I stated the reasons why I liked it, and that's about it. Now, I have to cover a bit more of a touchy subject. Now, I realized some people, even before this episode aired, were prone to compare this whole equality stuff, this idea of a common mindset sharing between a group of people that basically denies their own individuality for the sake of peace, so to speak, denies freedom and individualism for the sake of conformity and like I said, a shared mindset with no conflict. Some people compare that to communism, but that's not really communism. No, they're really thinking of totalitarianism. They're thinking of a fascist regime. They're thinking of a regime, of dictatorship. They're thinking of a spread political mindset, a message that's been agreed upon an entire social circle, and no other viewpoint on the world is allowed to exist. That is a totalitarian regime. Now, many communist states, many socialist democracies, so to speak, coincidentally happen to be totalitarian regimes, but that's not because of the ideal per se. The ideal of communism has been turned into a political tool since the time of the Bolshevik Revolution in the early 20th century. What Karl Marx's idea of communism should have been, it was something that was never, well, proper to adapt into a political device, so to speak. It was an idea of egalitarianism, in which everyone was equal, as in everyone has the same basic human rights, and every social class, from the proletariat to the capitalist to the aristocracy, they all should have had the same importance. Nobody should be above everyone else. Now, that was an idea of egalitarianism. That's what communism was in its early stages. The fact that it became something completely different and it failed as a political tool as well was not because of the ideal itself, but because of the people that were misusing the ideal. And to be perfectly fair, most so-called democratic societies tend to be totalitarian in that regard. I mean, especially when dealing with the Red Menace in the 50s, that should be a perfect example of, well, how much not different at all American society is from Russian or Soviet Russia. But I'm going off topic here. I'm telling you this because I want to clarify this misconception. What's being shown in this premiere episode of Season 5 is not a communist regime, is a totalitarian society in which a specific mindset has been forced upon everyone else. And that happened because the people were convinced they would be happier with that specific way of life. That's how people like Hitler and Mussolini came to power. They took advantage of inherent happiness and malcontent, and they turned it into their favor in order to gain power and create a totalitarian mindset. And that's what Starlight Glimmer did here. Am I comparing Starlight Glimmer to Mussolini? Well, yes and no. This isn't something as big as taking over a country. This is more like the pony parallel, get that alliteration, the pony parallel of basically an internet forum, if you will, in which someone has an opinion, and there is a group that follows that opinion blindly, without even thinking about it, and everybody who thinks differently is automatically evil! But like I said, Sunset Glimmer is a really interesting villain in that it is not some ancient embodiment of evil, but she's very much a kind of character you could find in real life in that regard. And that makes her extremely refreshing as a villain too. Also extremely tricky and deceitful to deal with. Because you can't just bluster away with the power of friendship. You can't... And she is not prone to accept it too. She's not prone to change her mind. So how do you deal with this kind of individual? It cannot be the same way you deal with a Discord or a T-Rec. And appropriately enough, they did not find a way to deal with her because she managed to get away. And with all probability, she will come out later for more. So, this was again, the whole thing that I was thinking about to tell you 2 times over, and then a third times here, because I couldn't record it properly earlier, so this is a watered down argument of what I originally had planned and said before. I hope you enjoyed it still for what it was. I hope my voice was not too annoying. I know that I'm going fast here over some really difficult topics, but I really don't have the time to do it slower, so I hope you enjoyed. Regardless, I don't even have the time to do proper written reviews anymore. Oh man. Okay, bye now. Season 5, you guys. It really couldn't possibly start better, in my opinion. Bye.